Here's a little blip by Harry Reid, basically stating why Mitch McConnell is totally wrong.
I spoke to both Mitch McConnell and Harry Reid, and I began with a conversation with Senator Reid that took place yesterday. Let me start with a piece of sound on judges that you said over 10 years ago. Let me play it and get you to react on the other side.
The duties of the United States Senate are set forth in the Constitution of the United States. Nowhere in that document does it say the Senate has a duty to give presidential nominees a vote.
And yet, 11 years later, you wrote this: the Senate's constitutional duty to give a fair and timely hearing and a floor vote to the President's Supreme Court nominees has remained inviolable. I guess I'm confused. Which is it? What has changed from 2005, when you said there was nothing in the Constitution that said a vote, to 2016?
This is the same thing as you guys talked about the Biden rule. There is no Biden rule. What happened then was worked out. It was an effort to try to get something done. What I've tried to do during my entire career in Congress and in the Senate is to get rid of obstruction. And what we found the last 8 years especially with Republicans, Boehner first, McConnell, is everything was obstructed. That was what they set out to do, and they've done a good job of it. But we've always tried, and I've been part of that for many years, to get rid of obstruction. I don't believe in it.
Well, then what happened in 2005? I can quote you during the Miguel Estrada hearing. You said, there's no reason to mince words around here. We're not going to allow an up or down vote on Miguel Estrada. That's a form of obstruction back when President Bush was in office.
But remember, this man had a full hearing. It came to the Senate floor, and all we ask is that you worked in the White House, you wrote a lot of legal opinions, we're entitled to see them. That was reasonable. And the White House instructed this good man not to do it. It was unfair to him, but that's what happened. We and the American people are entitled to what he had written in those legal opinions.
See, on that one, they had a solid reason why Estrada didn't get a vote. They asked him for information, and he refused to provide it. So right off the bat, you know, if you're not going to be transparent, you know, you basically give up your right to get a vote. Now, if he had supplied all of the information they asked for, and they still didn't give him a vote, that would have been a different story. So Harry Reid's on firm ground on that one.
But I guess I'm going back to what part of, I guess, what has changed other than the political party affiliation of the White House?
Nothing.
What has changed is you have to look at what has happened. We have never held up a Supreme Court nomination. Since 1900, in a lame duck session, there have been 6. They've all been approved.
But there was, wait a minute, Alito, you did a filibuster for Alito and Roberts.
Where is Alito today?
It failed.
That's the point.
It failed, but you wanted one.
But that's the point. You can draw all these extracurricular activities that took place, but look at what happened. For example, let's look at 2 very famous cases that came before the Senate. Bork, you know, didn't get enough votes in the committee.
Right.
Either did Thomas. Well, we brought them to the floor anyway. We met with them. We had hearings, and they were brought before. Even though they didn't get it, they could have been killed in the committee. We believe there should be a full vote, and that's what we should do now. I don't know why McConnell's done this to his senators. He's marching these men and women over a cliff, and I don't think they're going to go.
Well,
he said we're not going to meet with them. We're not going to hold hearings. We're not going to have a vote. But that facade is breaking as we speak. We now have about 8 or 9 senators who say, oh yeah, I guess we will meet with them. And we had a senator the day before yesterday that said, let's man up here. We are elected to take votes. We should be voting. And there's going to be a breakthrough here.
Well,
I told him.
Why do you think you're going to get a hearing? How are you going to get a hearing? Mitch McConnell has said no hearing at all. So why do you think you're going to get a hearing?
Mitch McConnell has said a lot of things, but his Republican senators are not going to go over that cliff with him. They're not going to do it. As I told Merrick Garland, this is going to break. You're going to become a Supreme Court justice. And in addition to the people agreeing to meet, we have Republican senators. Senators are veteran senators. So, well, maybe what we should do is do it in the lame duck. Warren Hatch, Lindsey Graham, others have said that. But if they're going to do it in lame duck, do it now.
4 years from now, and I know you're not going to be Senate Democratic leader 4 years from now, but 4 years from now, if you're in the fourth year of a Republican presidency, you don't think the Democrats should do whatever it takes to prevent that Republican president from appointing a Supreme Court justice in a presidential year before the election?
Not only do I think they shouldn't do it, they wouldn't do it. Whoever is elected president is elected for 4 years. Obama was elected for 4 years. He filled that duty he had to the American people. He was re-elected. He has an obligation to do his job for 4 years, not 3 years. Senators have an obligation to do their constitutional duty for the time that the president is.
Do you blame Republicans, though, for wanting to do whatever it takes? This is going to change the makeup of the court, and they believe this is worth fighting for. Do you blame them for doing this?
Absolutely. When you have Orrin Hatch, who was the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, now is chairman of the Finance Committee, said you could not pick a finer nominee than Garland. Why didn't you do that? He's complaining to Obama. Of course I blame them. Of course I do. Here's a fine.
You don't think they should fight to prevent the change in the makeup for as hard as they possibly can?
No, it's not been done in the past, and then their excuses are lame. They're going to wind up, as a result of this foolishness, they're going to wind up losing Senate seats they shouldn't have lost. I'm kind of glad they're doing it, but it's so foolish. McConnell's leading his senators over the cliff, and I'm telling everybody that's watching this, the senators aren't going to allow that.
And a little earlier this morning,
Yeah, so Reid had quite a few good points, but they're being hypocrites on both sides. McConnell's going the other way, screaming blue murder, that there's no precedent to do this. And all that is McConnell said from the very beginning of Obama's presidency that he was going to do everything he could to make him a one-term president. He was going to obstruct every which way he could, and all he's doing right now is just fulfilling that statement.